What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 803 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by this guy, only this guy, the tank-topped aficionado, Mr. No Sleeves himself,
Look,
James Dean Rader.
I was rewatching some matches this morning. I was watching Zilmer Gwiz.
And you just detonated your sleeves.
It got me fired up. He just immediately popped up.
He did. He really did. Honestly.
What a celebration.
You know, I would not be opposed to a shirtless episode of FRL. It's nothing, yeah. He really did just literally immediately be like, all right, I got to let my pecs breathe.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
One of the guys, they said, no, you need to put the straps up, but they didn't tell Hayden Zilmer you had to.
Eventually, once he was getting his picture.
It's so
fun.
In my quest to find wrestling rules that are like actually spelled out, I actually found a rule that is they went out of their way to get real clarity on this. You cannot take your straps down in freestyle wrestling. That is like spelled out in black and white. If you're looking for clarity on the step out rule, good luck. Happy hunting to you. But they were black and white, at least on
That's in the rule book?
On wrestling's rule problems. Yes, straps have to stay up while you're
International wrestling rule book, not your middle school duels.
International rule book. It's in the UWW. I'll find it again.
Cowards.
That was the one thing I did find. Bitcoin Ben is in the Grand Canyon on a hike, a spiritual journey, as it were, in nature, connecting his body, heart, mind, and soul with the great outdoors, as Ben is one to do. I hope listen, remember one time, he's such a hardo, you know, he goes on these hikes with flip-flops, but I think he's going to wear sneakers on this one because he paid a dear price one time. And you know what, JD, the reason for JD's sleevelessness is where I want to start the show today, because for me, I was thinking back, like some of the biggest surprises of World Team Trials, Olympic Trials in USA history and what they were. And I really had to go back to 16 before I was this surprised with a result. And really two results, with Dayton losing to Seth and Zilmer beating Gwiz.
Which one are you more surprised about?
Well, so, okay, there's different surprises. So the surprise in Dayton versus Seth was, whoa, Seth's really competing here and it's happening. The surprise with Gwiz and Zilmer is, let's paint the full picture. They wrestled in February. It was 3-0 Nick Wisdowski, 0 points. They wrestled match number 1. It was 5-0 Nick Wisdowski, 0 points in 12 minutes of wrestling for Hayden Zilmer. It was 3-0 with 40 seconds to go. 17 minutes of wrestling. Zilmer has 0 points in 17 minutes, okay? And then, poof, he gets that takedown and the quick step out, and just like that, he steals match number 1. That's Taylor versus Zahid. The way they did it, it's kind of confusing. You got to go down one. Sorry, I'm talking to Tyler so we can pull in the highlight as we talk over it. So then he does this. He wins 3-0, and you're like, 4-3, and you're like, okay, wow, we're going to have a match 3. And then we're like back to our regularly scheduled programming where Zilmer's down 5-0 with less than a minute to go. And he comes back. And so when he was down 3-0 late in the second in match number 3, I was like, okay, the question in my mind is, when does he go? Does he wait a little bit and try to really replicate and thread that needle and try to take out Gwiz late, super late? And then he shoots in on this single and he gets tipped for 2, and then it's 5-0. And then I think everyone in the freaking gym was like, this is over. Again, it is once again over. It was over in match 2. Now it's really super duper over. And Gwiz just fell off. He fell off hard. And he gave up 2 really easy takedowns. And the difference between Gwiz's defense early in the match and Gwiz's defense late in the match is literally night and day. And it's like the flip of a switch. He could not stop the leg attacks, right? And I was really surprised. I didn't expect that at all. I thought it was expert strategy from Hayden Zilmer, but I can't remember being more surprised watching a series unfold. As Whereas with Gross and Fix, you're kind of like alerted to it early when it was a 5-5 match 1 win, right? And then it was just it was very competitive, and it never seemed like there was never a time where, although as I say that, Dayton did jump out to leads in every single match. He was up like 5-0 and 4-1 and 3-0 or something like that. So I don't know why, but this was just way more surprising to me in the act, just to see Gwiz. Now, that being said, seeing Gwiz struggle late is something we've seen at times before. We've seen like him just kind of hit a wall. But I just didn't expect Hayden Zilmer to bring him there, right? And talking with Trevor Bramvold after the match, he was basically like, yeah, man, that guy with a full tank under his hips he's a lot of problem. We did not want to be under there when he was feeling good. So we went under there when he was feeling less good, and he freaking won. And Hayden Zilmer is on the world team. It was an incredible performance, and I think this year's Final X was really a neat opportunity for the journeymen, for the guys that I think in a lot of wrestling fans' eyes, mine included, certainly, was like, man, Evan Henderson's never going to be a guy threatening to make a world team. Seth Groves, he's really good, but he's never going to get by a Dayton Fix. Hayden Zilmer, he's really good. Is this guy ever going to get? I mean, I'm glad we have this level of depth. I think he's a really high-quality wrestler. But this is not someone that's going to make a world team. And he's on the world team. And they freaking made it happen. You didn't
mention Nate Jackson, Chance Marsteller.
Yes, exactly right. Nate
got the two biggest wins at either Final X.
100%. 100%, you're exactly right. Chance Marsteller, this guy's not going to threaten to make a team. He beat the GOAT. This guy, Nate Jackson, he's really good, but he lost 5-0 or 6-0 to Jaden Cox. He's not going to beat him. And he took a match from him. And I was really, I think it's cool for that. I think it's good for USA Wrestling in general that these guys can run down legends. I mean, Jaden's a legend. Jordan's a legend. I mean, Nick Wisdowski's how many world teams and got medals at the international level. Dayton Fix buzzsawed through his entire side of the bracket at the World Championships. A tough draw. And really, Dayton Tech, the number one ranked guy in the world right now, that could be at Worlds Hard Tuning. So I think, you're looking at USA Wrestling, and you can't be anything but excited. And another nugget I learned that night in New York City is talking with Coach Bramvold. It was basically like, look, we really felt like this is Hayden's window to make the team, because they fully expect Gable to be back in 2023 and 2024.
Heavyweight U turned into RTCU.
RTC Heavyweight U. It's just they're Golden Gophers. And now, Zilmer's an interesting story because the guy was an 84-pounder. He wrestled at Fargo at 88 pounds, 88, not a 1 in front of it, as high schooler. Now he's at the highest weight class on the world team, and. So now the question is, well, how good is our team, and how good are we at these weight classes? I'm not as sure. And, is Seth? It's hard to say Seth Gross is going to be an improvement for us at 61, but he did just beat the guy
twice,
2 times. It happened.
Seth Gross is such a weird wrestler. Like, I obviously didn't pick him to take a match from Dayton, but if you tell me he takes one match from Dayton in a funky, weird sort of thing, it's like, okay, I see it. But to get it done twice, that was very surprising. It has me feeling better about him going into Worlds than if you would have said he's our guy pre-Dayton series. But because he's a guy who's going to give a weird look. He could beat, I don't want to say anybody, but he can beat a lot of guys in the world because he's got that weird, funky style that's hard to replicate. He's also a guy who can lose to Jesse Mendez.
And the problem is, and here's what Seth benefits from: multiple cracks, get a feel, make an adjustment. It's different at Worlds, right? And you saw that everyone watched Yanni's loss. You're like, man, if he could just wrestle that guy again. But that's just how it goes. You don't get another crack at these guys till the next year. There's no wrestlebacks. There's no opportunity. Maybe you'll get pulled back through, but maybe not. And that's where I think Gross, he's such a smart wrestler, but he really benefits from that initial field. We saw that with Dayton, right? He lost 11-0. Then it was a 5-5 loss. Just that within a year, he made up that much of a gap on Dayton, who really there's no signs that Dayton is falling off, regressing, or anything like that. He's looked fine. So I think it's I think you get excited, and we brought home a medal here when we didn't expect it. Our backup brought a medal home here in 2018 with Joe Colon. This guy did not win Final X. He lost to Nishan Garrett. His last match against Nishan, he was tech-falled, and he brought home a world bronze medal. So our depth can't be underrated. And guys, someone told me, I remember a head coach, D1 head coach, he's like, Cologne is going to get teched in the first round, and then he's going to be out. And the guy brought home a world bronze medal. So you just don't know at this level. And that's a coach that has brought home international hardware. So you never know with these guys. Now, Zilmer's an interesting cat because he's undersized for the weight, obviously, but it's obviously also a benefit to him. Right? He's a little more mobile. I like that he's strong in the hand fight and upper body stuff. This is a guy who made 2 national teams in Greco. In the same year, he made the freestyle and the Greco national team. That's really, really impressive. So excited for Hayden Zilmer. Really excited for Gable, who, the idea that we can see him again, and he
once again teasing.
This is just gonna be Gable forever. I think until he's
I'm not taking the bait anymore.
What bait? It's happening. It's not bait.
I know, but I'm not indulging in the social media.
Indulge. What's not to indulge? What's not fun about it? Why don't you want to indulge?
I'm just over it. Okay, yeah, he's teasing. He's gonna continue to tease. He might come back. He might not. We'll see. He probably is, but who knows? He might not.
Some people like to be teased.
It's not me.
No, don't tease JD. Guy was teased too much as a child. Who's to say where this goes back to? We can't psychologically unpack.
Only Freud can.
Keith Gothard, we're never gonna stop. We're not gonna stop talking Gable.
Yeah, Keith's on my point.
Listen, Keith Gothard. If it was up to him, we'd be talking heavyweights. This would be heavyweight radio live. That's what he wants. Okay, High Times heavyweight radio live. That's what Keith Gothard wants. Well, we're gonna talk about Gable. The Olympic champ can get 2 minutes of our time. Can we not make 2 minutes for Gable Dan
Stevenson?
Him
a lot more than 2 minutes.
Yeah. So anyway, that's very exciting.
Zilmer, I will say, I like Hayden against the top 3 guys. He doesn't stand a chance.
Well, and that's the thing.
But after that, I'm saying there's a chance.
He needs that perfect 4 spot. This was the spot that Gwiz found him in last year with he was on the Akul Petriashvili side. Opposite Zare. So you knew you had to beat one of them to medal. And that just is not happening if it's not Gable. And so that's what we need. That's what Zilmer needs. He needs to be opposite those guys. We need all 3 of them on one side somehow. I don't know how the seeding's is looking to shape up this year, but Turkey with Akul, Georgia with Petriashvili, and Zare Iran look to be basically unbeatable for America right now, barring Gable. So we need to be away from those guys, which there's a, 25% chance maybe that happens, maybe less than that you avoid them. I think he can happen. I think he's a weird match for Zare, though, says Kyle Terry. I think he's a nightmare match. I think Zare's a nightmare matchup for Zare.
There really is no good matchup for Zare.
Other than Gable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
freak.
You need an absolute freak to contend with that hand fight. He's going to run Hayden. I'm sorry. I just think, and I say this: insert heavyweight on the world not named Gable.
Correct, yes.
He's going to get to his underhooks and move them all over the place. He's that dude right now. Zare is that dude, and I'm not gonna. Man, I would love to see it, but man, you give up some horsepower against Zare. You just need to watch more of this guy. He is a freak of nature. So, Gothard with Spladle, sorry. He didn't even spell it right. Gothard's blazed already. Can't even spell Spladle. Didn't even put the L's in the right place. Yeah, well, he's probably never been Spladled, to be fair. But so I'm not as high on Zilmer, but honestly, Zilmer or Gwiz, I think it's obviously a very similar chance. I think heavyweight is a unique weight class in the world where there's just 3 total beasts, legends, world Olympic champion type of guys. 3 world champions. So that's really good.
And maybe 4 in a year or 2. Gable Zare is...
He brought it up.
I brought it up. I brought it up only...
Casey McWhirter, he said it, not me.
Because I'm saying this, that Gable Zare is the international match to make. There is no bigger, better international match at this point.
Certainly no bigger.
Yet. Yes, certainly.
On a pound-for-pound scale basis, I can't... I have a hard time thinking of a better potential matchup. I mean, okay, which ones do I want to see? I mean, I really want to see a combination of... I want Sidikov Dake, Kadi Magomedov, obviously. I would love to see Dake versus JB at 79. That's not really an international weight. I'd like to see JB get another shot at Sidikov. Those are some of the matches. I've cooled on anyone versus Sadulayev unless Sadulayev goes heavyweight or something. Like, that guy is just on a different strata. So want to get to some more matches because there were more. Parting thought on the heavyweight, the biggest takeaway from Final X, Gable.
I will say, Gwiz I don't know if you noticed, Gwiz put on a knee pad in match 2 that he wasn't wearing in 1 and 3.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like a little knee sleeve, but he wasn't wearing it in match 1 or 3, but he wore it in match 2. I don't know if little something going on or whatnot.
He also changed his singlet between matches 1 and 2.
Yes, he did, per rules.
Oh, so you say.
I really like the knee pull to double that Zilmer hit. Was it in 2? To take Gwiz down. I wish more guys, especially at heavyweight, would do that.
Which one?
Like it's standing knee pick, but then you pull yourself into a double.
Yes. It's really nice. Man, Gwiz had he had a beautiful, his leg attacks were so smooth, especially his high-level ones. It was really, really nice.
But he was gassed, because late in match 3, how do you let Zilmer circle in when you have front head? You put him in front head, you take him to the zone.
Okay.
Zilmer just circles in, you put your butt to the outside and walk out.
So I thought Zilmer totally made that entire scenario happen. I remember thinking when Gwiz had him in the front head and was marching him backwards, I was like, it would seem like Hayden could circle. But I felt like he was just letting Gwiz push
him to the zone
so that he could change and then drive him out. It did look way too easy. He for sure was gassed, but I also think that was just a level of headiness from Zilmer. I think maybe surprised Gwiz because Gwiz is so heady, right? This is the most heavy we've ever had, but thanks to Hayden Zilmer. So okay, another thing I really want to talk about is Dake Nolf. And I thought this was interesting because it's almost a similar thing with Jaden Cox. And there's a little bit of nervousness, concern, whatever you want to call it, with how those guys made the team, right? It wasn't the dominant sort of, blowing through their opponents, right? And so then the obvious question is we have legend after legend after legend on the team. It's really an unprecedented time. And they're all on the back 9 of their career for the most part, right? The second half. Not saying they're on their way out, but second half is not in dispute.
Jordan
put it out there.
Yes, he did.
And we'll get to that for sure. But so with Dake, the question is, how much longer is he going to be at a really high level? And people want to use this close series with Jason Nolf as maybe evidence that Dake is on the way out because he did not have a takedown in these matches, right? 0 takedowns. He really wasn't taking mini leg attacks, offensive attacks. And I just have to say I could not be less concerned about Kyle Dake based on this match performance because when I think you should be surprised or nervous or thinking, hey man, maybe we're getting to a different sort of era with Dake or any wrestler or athlete, is when you start seeing things you hadn't seen before. When things start to look really, really different. And I mean, this Kyle Dake having matches where you're like, he feels like he can score whenever he wants. He just doesn't quite pull the trigger, but
that's the whole story of his whole career.
I mean, this is a guy on his Hodge campaign, match number 1 of the NCAAs. He had like a 2-0, 2-1, I think a 2-0 win over Mark Martin, a 0-time All-American, right at the NCAA tournament. These things.
That's why he'll never win a message board match.
He will never win, and it's got to be devastating for him. He's the worst wrestler in the Mat Forum's history, and I think that I look at that and I say, okay, so he won narrowly. He didn't fire off leg attacks. He's wrestling a monster in Jason Nolf, a guy that's really, really, really good, a guy who chewed his way through the World Team Trials without an even remotely difficult match. And there's also a couple things working against Kyle in this scenario. One, it's Nolf's third crack at him. Mm-hmm. Two, Nolf has basically had the better part of a year knowing he's only got to beat one guy. He's got, let's just call it what it is, the best game planners in the country right now in his corner with the Nittany Lion coterie, right? Those guys they're just good at that. They figure out how to win matches specifically against guys. Now, Dake is a code they've never cracked, right? They've never been able to, but that's true for almost everyone. But they made it really interesting there. He did some things, and I would have really liked talking to Dake and understanding, like he said, Nolf had a really, really good game plan. But I want to get, okay, well, I want to know what that is. What was he doing that was disruptive? What was he doing that made it tougher for Kyle? But for Dake, is there cause for concern? I say no. I'm not concerned. I give credit to Jason Nolf. And here's the other thing, the last point, and then I'll let you go. I know I've got a lot of this. So it was 1-0 Dake, and Nolf gets the takedown. We're like, oh man, that's really something. He gets the takedown at 2:15. By 2:06 in the match, 9 seconds later, Dake is back in the lead. Okay, that happened. So Nolf had the lead for 9 seconds. Then, in match 2, Nolf is in the lead for 4 seconds. Shot clock point comes up. Dake immediately scores. Immediately. So this guy, he could get it whenever he wanted to, whenever he needed to. And the guy's, he's like, my defense is insane, and they trust it. And I think that's what we see a little bit with Jaden. I think with these defensive masterminds, these guys that are so hard to score on, they know they can trust it. They know their defense is going to be there. And so when you see Dake take a leg attack and bomb Jason Nolf or destroy someone or score so easily, and when you see Jaden Cox get his fake and stab for that left side and then getting that single, you're like, you could do that all the time. And maybe they could, but I think something with I think there's something to their defense and them just having the ultimate faith and trust in that. And that can yield some matches where you're like, man, they didn't do a whole lot. But at the same time, did they need to? Dake scored literally the moments he needed to. There was never a period of time. Did he want to give up the leg late in that match to Nolf let him in? I'm sure probably not. But again, the chest wrap made it more of a scoring opportunity for Dake than it did for Nolf.
Yeah, my whole thing, or not whole thing, I'm not concerned because I thought it was the same thing as you. Dake clearly was like, when I got the points win too. It's just, when was the last time we saw him get taken down?
Well, Tokyo.
Yes.
But yeah, beyond that, it's certainly a rarity. It didn't happen at the Olympic trials, including in 2 matches with Jordan. I'm pretty sure. Maybe if Jordan got one at the end, but I don't think he did. So I don't think it is a rarity. And what honestly surprised me more than anything was when Nolf got in, and this is a dead rights position, so maybe I'm looking into it too much, but I thought it would be a little tougher for Nolf to get that finish from the quad pod than it was, and he did a great job there. And maybe I'm looking too much into that position, but Dake is really, really good there, and I wouldn't have been surprised at all if that just ended up being 1 for Nolf. Mm-hmm. So that was a really impressive exchange there for Nolf, and yeah, should give a glimmer of hope to the competition, but no Sidakov likely, no Kadimagomedov likely, and it's going to be tough to see anyone. It's going to be him and Chamizo, you have to figure.
Yeah.
Or Salk.
Yeah, I don't think Salk really stands a chance. It's pretty much just Chamizo. And even Chamizo, I don't know. Dake is by far and away my highest confident gold pick.
Really?
Over who?
I guess. I think Jordan is a pretty.
Yes.
Who's?
But I'm more confident in Dake.
You're more confident in Dake.
We just saw Jordan Burroughs lose to Chance Marsteller.
Yeah. True. I mean, Jordan won Worlds last year on a bum wheel, basically.
And I'm still picking Jordan to win gold. He had I think, didn't he? He had like a 2-1 match with the Iranian at the Arujau. I think who will maybe be back, maybe not, because there's another tough guy there.
He was kind of.
He beat him 5-1. The same guy he beat 5-1 in the finals last year.
That guy was scared of him. He did not want to. He didn't wrestle Jordan at all.
That's the way to do it. Chance showed.
Yeah. So, cause for alarm for Kyle Dake. None here.
I don't even think it's a scenario where Nolf closed the gap. Like maybe a little, but to me that's just you see a guy enough times.
Oh wait, obviously Jeff Baxter. I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, who just said it? Snyder with no Russian tank is the number one actually.
Iran. He probably should have lost that match last year.
He definitely should have, but did not. I think that was the Iranians' one chance.
He might not even be the guy. Mohammedian might be the guy.
I hope so. Mohammedian has no offense. He had one tournament where he looked like he was, let's say, back to his former self, and we'll leave it at that. No, probably right here. Right.
Look, like I said,
more effective.
I'm still picking JB to win gold, but I'm just more confident in Dake.
Okay, I see that. Another thought that Bader actually said between matches or when the headsets were off was like, I think they're both better at 79. He thinks Dake's better at 79. He thinks Burroughs is better at 79. And I think I probably agree. I think the
JB, yes. Dake, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think Dake's best weight is 79 kilograms. If all
he was bombing dudes at 79. Or Dake bombs. He
was bombing dudes. I think. I think the cut is a thing, and that maybe why he wasn't firing off a lot of attacks. I don't know. I didn't think Dake looked spent out there, and Dake is someone who can look tired and wrestle through it, but it didn't look like one of those scenarios. And Nolf can take it out of a guy too. So I did not find that Dake appeared to be tired or suffering from the gut, but I do kind of think they're both better at 79.
Dake also loves to look tired and just not be tired.
And not be tired. He's 10% Russian in this way, in that they can look tired.
He's very much Ben Askren-esque in that way, because Ben notoriously hands on knees,
Yeah.
He says body language. Don't worry about it.
Overrated.
Yeah.
He's a reverse psychology body language guy. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe Dake's been playing that level of chess with us for this long. So not worried about Kyle Dake at all. He scored literally at the. Oh, I do have to talk about this. I'm ready. I'm ready to throw the step out caution in one into the ocean. That the new 1+1 thing. And if you go to the end of, or towards the end of the Dake Nolf scoring highlight of match 1.
Okay, that's where you're going with this. But it's interesting you brought that rule up first.
Well, it's just how we're talking about Dake now. So Does FloWrestling have an employee dress code? No, there couldn't be less of a dress code. Oh, you know what's funny? Who was it? Maybe it was. Oh yeah, Tyler, our new guy, new shooter dude, was like, "Hey man, what should I wear on the first day of work?" And he texted me. I was just like laughing because I'm sitting next to Mike Mal, who literally doesn't have shoes. He's not wearing shoes. He's wearing this. I'm like, well, this is what this guy's wearing. JD looks like somewhere. He's like homeless chic. Right now, he's looks like he's straight from the Ozark bachelor party where he was at this weekend. So not this one. I was thinking we can get to this one, Tyler. I want to see the Dake Nolf match 1. If you just pull in the scoring highlight and let it play, that'll be just fine because it's towards the beginning of that file. Because Nolf gets the takedown, and then Dake is immediately like, all right, I got to score. So he gets underneath, he's in the seatbelt, and what you'll see if you're just listening, he gets to a seatbelt position and he's driving, and Nolf is like, looks to me, I would describe it as circling away. So right after this takedown that Nolf gets, you'll see, and if you look at the scoreboard, you can see how quickly afterwards Dake tries to score. He's like, all right, I should score now, and he does. So he gets his seatbelt here, and look at Nolf, circle, and Dake is just in a great position with that seatbelt, and he drives him out of bounds, and that's probably good. We could play it again or not, but that's the scenario I'm talking about. I just don't think that's a instance where you go caution in 1. I agree. I think this is not a guy. He's circling in, and Dake is taking him out of bounds for that point. And we can't forget that. And also, that's not a takedown imminent scenario, the seatbelt. This is not like a rear standing sprinting out of bounds.
For the record, I don't like the way that is necessarily worded either, because I don't like when a guy gets in on like a single leg, treetop, walks a guy out of bounds, and that's caution in 1. You know how hard it is to fight back on one leg like that? Like, it's imminent that you're going to get taken out. Yeah,
you're on 1 foot.
Yes.
If anything, the guy who's on 2 feet is dictating where it's going, is bringing the action out of bounds.
And that gets called caution in 1 as well.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's one thing in freestyle or folk style where if you're going out of bounds, it is absolutely rewarded and incentivized. Going out of bounds in freestyle wrestling is supposed to be a point. So you're going to a scoring area. You're giving up points. So I don't understand how this is a flee, because what's he fleeing to? Give up a point? He's fleeing to get scored on. That doesn't make sense. There's not an imminent takedown, and he's not backing straight out of bounds. You watch him circle. And so this, to me, spells disaster at the highest levels, right? Think of the impact a 1+1 can have in a match. And if this is what's 1+1, then almost anything is.
Especially when caution's the second criteria, and third one, you're out.
Yeah, and now you've created this scenario where step outs are 2-point moves, and that's dangerous to me, especially given, man, I'm ready to just declare all the folk style people right. I mean, I think maybe you're right. I'm ready. Shane Sparks, whenever he comes back, maybe it's these rules are a travesty. They're so bad. The edge is so bad. It's so poorly officiated. It's so poorly written in the rules that it makes it so no one knows how this is going to be called. To the point, and we can pull it in now, Tyler, the Jordan Burroughs Chance Marsteller scenario. And we have the best of the best on the mat right now for these matches. And an identical scenario is called completely differently, back-to-back sequences. So what I'm talking about is Jordan is down 2-0 to Chance, or 2-1. And he's trying to get the points. And so what we're seeing here, you can pull it in basically at this point. Jordan's got a score, and Chance is he's backing away, and he's doing what a lot of wrestlers do when they're nearly getting stepped out. They drop to both knees. Look like we're seeing right here. Drop to both knees, shoved out of bounds, grounded, no points, no nothing. Okay? Freeze for 1 second. Now, a reminder, in freestyle wrestling, there's no warning system. There's no accumulation of things make it so that a call changes, right? It's not like stalling in wrestling, okay? So you can't just say that this is not one, and then we can play it now, and then say the exact identical scenario is now one. What is the difference? What is the difference? Someone point to me the difference in this exchange. Marsteller evading, he was evading before. He intentionally grounds himself, he did that before. He gets driven out of
Sammy
bounds.
Julian did warn him that time. I don't know if he did the first time verbally.
I don't think that can, but the bottom line is they gave just a 1 point step out here, or a caution, or whatever
They gave caution.
Identical
That's
scenario.
why I restarted in parterre.
Yeah, identical scenarios can't have completely different.
Well, I'm just saying, if you verbally warned him, that's a different.
You can either drop to your knees and get shoved out of bounds, or you can't.
I agree with you. You can't. You shouldn't be able to take grounded, the grounded rule, shove it into a box, ship it to Mars, and nuke it forever.
Elon Musk.
Elon. I'll talk to my boy.
I got a rule that you need to. We'll box it up. No problem. No issue there. And I don't. Go ahead.
It's because of the way grounded is ruled in the UWW rule books that any wrestler on a knee is basically grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets confusing a lot of times. But yes, I agree. Grounded, dumb, stupid. Hat tip to the NYC RTC and NJRTC for putting together a perfect game plan and knowing this.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it's dumb. It rewards the defensive wrestler. It's easy to game, and it's hard to call consistent. I think that's why, because like by rule, and then the rules get tricky too, where you see it how it should be. Some people say it should be interpreted that if a wrestler intentionally drops to a knee, then it's not. But if he's not intentionally dropping to a knee, then that leads so much up for discretion. Just make the out of bounds hot lava. If
the word intent is involved, the rule is DOA. Because now we're getting into I am getting inside your brain and predicting your intent. And I just don't think that makes any sense. Black and white, yes or no, but it's just got to be binary here. If you're going out of bounds, and why would you have a rule that so drastically benefits the defensive wrestler, the guy trying to not score, the guy trying to not be in bounds? Why would you make a rule that helps that guy? Make a rule that helps the guy that is trying to score. That's the way you do it. That's what the NFL does, what the NBA does. You make rules that benefit offense, right? You don't give a bailout to some guy that's just dropping down. And this is, we're talking about chance. There's any number of athletes that this applies to. It applies to so many. It's applied to Jordan Burroughs in the past. It's applied to David Taylor in the past. It's applied to many, many, many different wrestlers. It's just a bad rule. And I don't envy the position that the officials are in, because it is not. They're sort of set up here because the way the rule is written is preposterous. But it's not a good thing.
This was not necessarily a case of poor officiating. In my opinion, I do not blame Marsteller one bit for doing what he did. In fact, like I said, I tip my hat to him for doing it, because that's basically how you have to beat Jordan Burroughs, especially when, and no one is, except for maybe one or two people on the planet, like you can match his athleticism and power.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's a bad rule. So it's got to change. I've been saying it since it's been a rule, and it's showing its ugly side more than ever.
Yes.
Last weekend.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think when you look at the Chance JB thing, and the first match was not super. It was kind of just a methodical win for Jordan. It looked good, got his points, no issues. And then the most surprising thing about match 2 was that you would think, okay, if Chance beats Jordan, how would you think it'd go? Maybe Jordan's up 2-0 on a pair of ones late, and he gets taken down at the end, and then something like that. Mm-hmm. That I could see that. He got his 2, Chance Marsteller, 30 seconds into the match, and he sat on that lead and protected it for 5.5 minutes.
This wasn't a Dake scenario.
What do you mean?
Like Dake gets down, scores.
No.
Goes back in the lead.
Exactly right. he was able to hold Jordan off for 5.5 minutes, and he did it intelligently. He did it being positionally so sound. He ate a number of double legs. He could absorb. He changed the mat multiple times. You got to give a lot of credit here in match 2.
Absolutely. And he, another part of his game plan clearly was staying in contact with Jordan Burroughs in the collar tie, not letting Jordan get any space, constantly crowding him, not letting him get any space. In the couple seconds he did give him space, hands basically down on the mat, ready to catch that double leg. Because that's how he lost in the past. And he didn't even work fakes until maybe the last few seconds, because he knew if I fake, Jordan just times that.
Yes.
Takes me down. That's how he got taken at the Arujau. Like Jordan, he faked from the outside and Jordan timed it perfectly. It was on his legs before he probably even knew what happened. Even when he was losing in match 3 by 5 points, he stood straight up and down and said, "Jordan, please come shoot on me."
Yeah. He's
I don't think he took one shot the entire series.
No, I don't think he did either. And he's this Chance will like you could tell he had a very specific game plan he was working to execute, and he freaking did it in that match. But Jordan showed his mettle in the second match, and really Chance, he made it competitive, he made it interesting. You got to tip your hat, but once again, it's Jordan Burroughs being our rep for the I think I said it, 11th time. This is his 11th team. That's insane, and you got to feel good about it. I think it's good that we're getting tested. Dake got tested, good. Jordan got tested, good. Jaden lost a match, right? These aren't the worst things. I think it's a sign of the depth of America. It's a sign of, I think, to me, the strength of the RTC ecosystem in terms of development and guys that really buy into places that have dedicated coaching staffs, like the job that Reese Humphrey's done with Nate and Chance, and a lot of people have had a hand in Chance Marsteller, right, over the years, and he gave a lot of credit to Coach Colad at Navy, and he knew he needed some more challenging partners. I think was what led to the change for him to go to New York City, and that's been really good for him. So I think you give credit there. You gotta give credit to Minnesota, what they did with Hayden Zilmer, and the full-time training opportunities have been huge for those guys. And yeah, USA Wrestling isn't a good place, Jeff Baxter. I agree with that. Maybe your first good take of the day, Jeff. I don't know. Yeah, I'm loving the chat. I'm gonna try to. I got both. I got YouTube open. I've got Facebook. So
if you watch on the app, you've also got the app chat.
He's got the app chat going and stuff. I need like a motherboard here of just like screens and chatting that I can do. Right now, this is some real blue collar grit we're showing here. Navigating multiple chat screens and the show document, JD. This is some real working class stuff. So that was Chance. Jordan was so exciting. I did not think Chance was going to take a match from him. And when you watch their match overseas, he, like you pointed out, he picked him apart with fakes. Chance would fake, and he was just like teleporting to the leg. And then he's like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Chance is a smart wrestler. And I'm really hopeful that more than anything, Chance can continue to improve and keep his life on the right path. I think that would be the coolest part of this, of all of Final X, is if Chance can continue that. So that was really cool.
So now we're going to talk about Jordan's comments?
Oh, yeah. So he put it out there, 2024, no take-backs, he's done.
I actually haven't listened to this interview yet.
It's great. I would highly encourage you to do so. It's 18 minutes long. I threw it up on the app, listened to it when I got home. It was great. And he said, 24, I want another shot at Dake. I want another shot at Sidikoff. But no matter what, I'm going to be done. He's like, it's good for me to have that firm deadline or firm timeline in my mind that there's not going to be a change, right? So it's interesting because the retirement question for Jordan has been on the table since 2016. It was commonly thought that there's a chance after 2016 Jordan hangs it up, and that was prior to him losing at the Olympics, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe if he wins it all, maybe he does. Maybe he says, you know what, I did it. Probably not, but it was a thought. To the point that if anyone, for you longtime listeners, remember we had Jordan on prior to the Olympics, and he, as a very gullible person that I am, he told me, he's like, hey, after 2016 Olympics, I'm going to retire. And then he said, I was just kidding, but he got me. But he was able to pull that joke off because it was a thought then. 8 years from when he's going to actually retire. This is like, I don't know if you remember the Brett Favre saga. Sorry, Bracky, but your boy was just very dramatic with his retirements, not retiring, unretired. But for Jordan, it's kind of been over the span of a couple of years. And what was cool was after the Olympics trials in 21, he's like, I'm definitely not done. That was awesome. But now 24, firm deadline, changing of the guard happening at some point, whether it's 2024 is when the last time you'll watch Jordan Burroughs wrestle, which is kind of sad, but it's exciting that we're gonna. It's only 2022, so it's not a funeral, right? And we've got a lot of time, but it does make you really appreciate that the ride you've been on with this guy. He's given people a lot of really incredible wrestling memories.
There's been nothing like it in at least my lifetime of wrestling.
No, yeah, never seen anything like Jordan.
And you think about the state. I mean, we don't have to go into a Jordan Burroughs saga right now.
No,
we can save that for later.
But I'll never turn it down.
Just look at the state of USA wrestling pre and post Jordan Burroughs.
It is insane, and you do have to give him some partial credit for that.
100%.
He definitely had a huge impact on that, and I just remember. We don't have a lot of freestyle. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of freestyle wrestling fans now. But back in 2010, 2009, it was just like, it was so sad being a freestyle wrestling fan for America because the rules were terrible and we were not very good. We were not bringing home medals. We were on 1-0. It was just hard times. The sport was almost unwatchable too because the rules were so bad. It was just a ball draw extravaganza. And it wasn't exciting. And now we're so good. We have like all these legends that are, and many of them are like really, linked. Dake, Burroughs, Taylor are linked. And then Taylor, Dake, Cox are linked. And Cox, Snyder are linked. Like they're all sort of in this sort of legendary ecosystem facing each other. Yeah.
Dake and Taylor linked because of Jordan.
Yes. yes.
And Cox.
Yeah.
Partially as well.
They all have beaten each other, basically. You could do the transitive game for all these dudes. So, yeah, very, very, yeah. And you kind of figured 2024 would be it. That made sense. But someone wants to know if you're a member of the NRA. I don't know. Just don't answer that.
Why'd you even bring it up?
I don't know why I asked. I just read it. Oh, it's Israel Thomas. Yeah.
Better question from Mr. Pantaleo. Does JB go down to 74 in 2023?
He says
yes.
Not 23 though.
Oh, 2023, no.
I think he's like, let me get 2 more titles and then figure it out.
Also, you still get to sit to, assuming both he and Kyle medal in 2023 at 74 and 79, he would still get to sit to semis.
He'll still get to sit to the semis. I am going to continue to be on the he should go up, not down. I don't think 3 years later making 74 day of is going to be any easier. I don't think there's any data that would suggest it would be anything but harder, right, as you age. If what I've learned about aging is correct. Unless he just had a really bad cut. He didn't look like the same guy. Maybe I'm just not giving enough credit to Dake for doing what he did. Is that possible? Maybe. I don't know. But I just didn't think he looked quite like himself. And now Dake could beat Burroughs on a good cut, right? He's done that. He did that in 2017. So I know that that's a possibility. But I just don't, yeah. I think 74 is just a really big ask for him. And I think Dake can navigate that cut a little bit better. But yeah, we're gonna it will come to an end. And now it was interesting talking with Dake about it. He's always said 2024 for sure. He was going through 2024, and he was basically like 2028. We'll see. But it's obviously really interesting, intriguing to him because it's in LA. He thinks obviously that's awesome for myriad reasons, and it just depends how he's feeling. If he wants to continue doing it, I hope he does. I think it'd be great, the longevity. And man, you know what I was thinking about? And we haven't said the name yet. David Taylor. And I look at what he just did at Final X to the guy that people were really, I mean, Zahid Valencia obviously was saying, hey, there's I'm going to win. But there were a lot of people that were thinking this is going to be really interesting. This is going to be really competitive. And I know the first match sort of was, but I did not, Zahid was not really that close to me. And the step out that he got was really, I don't even know. Zahid grounded himself, and as David's trying to circle behind, be offensive, the offensive wrestler gets punished here by this grounded rule, and David steps out. But not through any action of Zahid. It's just, anyway, that's the rule's terrible. What can you do? But David was not really particularly threatened here. And then in match 2, what he did to Zahid, just absolute decimation, devastation. And he never looked back. And so my question here is, who is going to knock this dude off? Who is close? And you got to do it twice, mind you. You've got to do it twice. Jaden's not making 86 anymore.
In the U.S., there's nobody.
There's nobody. And so what I'm saying here, Jeff Pax, we saw 2 upsets. Yeah, I guess so. So what my question is, who is going to knock this guy off in 23, 24, 25? Who is really that close? No one's close right now.
You're looking way down the line, talking 2025. Aaron Brooks, maybe.
We'll see. I mean, he didn't even enter the trials.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking.
I know
3-4 years down the line here.
For sure, he'll be in the mix then.
It's not happening anytime pre-2024, I think so.
And we'll see if I have the statistics. I tried to go on my favorite. Hold on, it just got shared with me. I'm trying to find some information about. Everyone talks about David and his what? What do we think about David the most? We think about pace, offense, points. The guy just gets so many. He scores so many. People really cannot score on this guy. He has a really hard time giving up. The people really struggle to generate points against him.
I don't have the data to back this up in front of me, but his pace is clearly slowed, and he is much more of a.
You think?
From like 2017, 18. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'll read. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that. So
I think he's much less of a gunslinger now, and is much more choosy with his spots. And when he is, he scores, and he gets a lot of points, and he doesn't give up points, so he gets tech fall. He still gets tech falls, but they're 10-0 or.
Okay, he lost to in the Yazdani loss. He gave up. Did he give up 6 points to Yazdani in the World Final? I guess so.
Yes.
So he's given up 0 points, 2 points, 6 to Yazdani. Gave up 2, 0, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 to Jordan Burroughs, a match he won. 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That was at Pans. 2, he gave up 5 to Karugliev. He won. 0, 0. And then 6 to Yazdani.
2 to Nick Greenan in 2018.
Yeah, I haven't made it that far back. I'm still in 2019. 0, 0, 6 to Yazdani, who he beat 11-6. So this guy is really, really hard to score on. People have a hard time getting the points. And I think that's the one thing you look at. How are you going to score on this guy? And he's got the offense. He's got such good short offense, front head. He's so good at the reattacks. He's so good in the scrambles and connect. I feel like David's wrestling is going to age well, right? He's got a style that works. Almost like how did Kale come back at 2011 after a 7-year layoff? It's like, well, a lot of the positions where he's in are just always going to be there and be good. He wasn't someone that's relying on amazing lightning quick speed for the. It's like when we're connected, when you're on my leg, I'm on your leg, I'm problem solving. And I think David's similar in that way, and that's why he's going to be able to, if he wants to continue beyond 24, if he wants to, he may not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to the end and he's like, man, I can still make teams. Why would I not continue to do this? Yeah. At that point, maybe he'll be like just ready to move on and do something else. But I don't think, I'll say this. If David gives up the 86 spot, it'll be voluntary. It's not going to be taken from him. He's going to have to give it away and say, someone else go.
Not this cycle for sure.
No, that's where I'm at with it. Till someone prove you can pull this in 23 or 24 and have a big bookmark this episode, and you can have a big laugh at me. But right now, I'm just not entertaining any this guy's right there with David thought. Whereas maybe I kind of got talked into that at the Olympics.
Well, he had that incredibly close match with Gabe Dean on the NLWC card. Yep. That was part of that driving force.
Narrative, yeah.
And then he handled Gabe Dean, beat him 4-0, not a blowout by any means. And he only beat Bo Nichols 6-0, 4-0.
That's pretty freaking good.
I know, but that's part of like what I was saying, like pace a little bit, slowing down a little bit. I just don't feel like he's...
He also wrestles that guy probably a ton. The familiarity's got to jam that up to an extent.
For sure. And then this year, part of that driving force is that we hadn't seen him wrestle since Worlds. And so there's mystery around it.
Yes.
Like, is he maybe a little hurt? Has he fallen off a little bit? How motivated is he? There were questions surrounding him going into this.
And that's the other thing about match one. It's like, okay, you want to say he was close and Zahid was up 2-0 in the second. It's like, all right, that's his first match in 8 months, and he won 4-2. And then an hour later, he wins 10-0 in a match that could have been
kicked off the rest a little bit.
20-0. Yeah, exactly. Zahid had no answer for him in that second match, and David had computer brain figured out all the things Zahid was doing and shut it down and scored tremendously. So he looked really good. He looks like we know what it's going to be. It's going to be him versus Yazdani. It's going to be scary. It's going to be really tough. Of note, talking with David after that, he was, or before Final X, he basically admitted, he's like, yeah, I did Worlds because it's an opportunity and do it, but was my heart really in it? And this is sort of paraphrasing, but like, was I really training the way I did for the Olympics? Like maintaining that level of focus and the after you reach the mountaintop and then turning around a couple months later was really hard for him. And even still, he acknowledges he was a finish away from winning that match, right? He had the leg up in the air and he just couldn't quite put Yazdani down. And that's David basically acknowledging, he's like, that wasn't the best me out there. Which in the moment, I don't think he was ready to say that, but it makes sense. And it was a question everyone had going into this, especially for him, like, man, after you reach that high, can you maintain it and ride that out a couple months? And this is a high that he reached. Not only was winning the Olympics a lifelong basic goal for him and something he set out to do, but it was like a 2-year run there from with COVID backing everything up of him, this long journey to an Olympic title. So it makes sense. Okay, so that was David. Talked about that. Other Final X thoughts. Oh, you know what? I know whose thoughts you actually want. You want our thoughts. You want JD's thoughts, obviously. But look at this. Skinny Ben. He is thinking about you guys, and he sent a nice little couple-minute long thoughts on Final X that he would like to talk to you about. So let's hear it from the funky one.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Sorry I'm not on FRL this week to give all my opinions on Final X New York. We also couldn't do it Friday because we were cadet duels. But hey, Wisconsin made the finals. We were so close. This close. 35-35. We almost beat Ohio. in the 16U Freestyle National Duels. So here's my thoughts. Final X New York. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a better show than Oklahoma. A lot of really good matchups. Where do I start? Okay, Yanni, Evan Henderson. I thought this is kind of what we expected, right? Yanni dominated match 2. Match 1 was really interesting. He had to win in the last couple seconds. Evan Henderson had some really strong position. He was able to get to them, score points. I would not have called the first match being that close, but we talked about being a possibility, and that was kind of how it played out. Biggest upset got to be Zilmer over Gwizdowski. I don't think anyone called that. He looked good. He looked really good. I mean, for a guy, everyone's still blown away by the fact that the guy started at 103 pounds and now he's on the world team as a heavyweight. It's freaking crazy. It'll be interesting to see how he does at heavyweight. He seems like he's just continued to get better as he's gotten bigger, just better and better and better. So it'll be interesting to see how he does at Worlds, because I'm not sure what to expect out of him there. Kyle Dake up next. Listen, Jason Nolf made this really, really interesting. I don't think Kyle Dake scored a takedown in either of the matches. And I really didn't like one of the caution ones. No good on that. Not a fan of that one. I also thought Dake maybe could have got put on the clock in the first match. But nevertheless, Nolf's closing the gap, right? That was the thing in the last 3 matches that I was thinking about, is like, are the challengers going to be closing the gap on the incumbents? And I think in all 3 cases, the answer is yes, right? So the first one would be Nolf and Dake. Those matches were closer than any matches they've had previously. The second one being Burroughs and Marsteller, which we'll talk about. And the last one being Zahid and David. And so I think Nolf looked really good. I thought he closed the gap. I found it interesting that Dake really couldn't get to any takedowns or score any points. He did what he needed to do to win, but definitely, I don't know if I would say definitely not impressive, or definitely not like it looked like the last time. Next up would be Chance and Jordan. I think people would have lost a lot of money if they were betting on, does Chance take a match. Chance looked good, man. In that match, the second match, he was the only one that got the takedown. Was able to win that match. Burroughs got 2 1-pointers in the takedown win. So, Chance, another guy, right? We said that was Zilmer, but another guy who just continued to get better. And I think this is something we're seeing we've talked about it a lot, and we're seeing with the RTC systems is it's keeping guys around longer, which means they're continuing to improve past college, which wasn't a thing a while ago. So it's really awesome. Zahid David, first match was really competitive, 4-2. Some really good exchanges. And then the second match was a blowout. I mean, I think after the first match, you're feeling pretty comfortable David was going to win, but you would not have predicted it to be 10-0. So that was interesting. I think Zahid proved he can make it interesting, but now, at some point, Zahid's probably going to have to win 2 out of 3 matches against David. He's not going to get, David's not going to be in a tournament where he can sneak one out on him and be done. He's going to win 2 out of 3. And I think he's a ways away from that. So we'll see how much he can close the gap. Helen looked great, 2 10-0 wins. But the person who impressed me the most out of all the people in the field, Sarah Hildebrandt. Dude, she looked so good. Her attacks were so crisp. Her lace is so strong. She's another one who's just continued to get better and better and better. I think of all the competitors at Final X New York, she really impressed me. I thought that Alyssa Lampe looked really good at the trials, and I thought she would be able to make it competitive, and it wasn't slightly competitive. So Sarah Hildebrandt, man, she was on fire. She looked so good. That's all I got. I'm going to the Grand Canyon, so you guys won't see me for 3 or 4 days going rafting. Amy set this up a little while ago. I will be back the next week on FRL. I'll see you guys then. Peace.
The Funky One has spoken, and yes, the OWL Final X New York was Sarah to me. I thought, well, maybe they would probably give it to Hayden Zilmer, but the truly most outstanding wrestler was Sarah Hildebrandt. She looked ridiculous, and I felt like Ben felt that Alyssa would make it interesting. Alyssa Lampe is very seasoned. She's strong. She's got decent leg attacks. I thought it would at least be resistance. And Sarah just hot knife through butter against a very, very good Alyssa Lampe. And man, Sarah she's certainly one of our pound for pound best in the women's freestyle ranks, even amongst she's right there with the Helen Tamira sort of conversation. In my mind, it's just what eludes her is she's in these brackets that are so tough, and Yui Sasaki exists, and that's maybe the pound for pound number one. She's up there. There's a couple Japanese wrestlers that are maybe in that conversation, but it's a really tough weight class. But Sarah just looks fantastic. 50 kilograms is something she seems to have a real handle on in terms of the weight. It's definitely not a comfortable weight cut for her, but her wrestling's just fantastic. And yeah, she was really impressive. Helen, I think we knew with Helen, that Alex Hedrick was just not going to be competition for her. But you sort of thought, Alyssa Lampe, she's medaled at Worlds before. You thought it'd be a little more competitive. Helen continues to look awesome. She said she feels she's wrestling as well as she ever has, which is a scary thought. We started the Amit Allure senior level chapter has begun. She's made the team. She was dominant over Skylar Grote. She wrestles a very intelligent style. She doesn't take a lot of risks. Excuse me. She's great with the ties. She's good at taking ground. She's good with underhooks. She's very sound defensively. She's going to be a problem at 72. I really feel that way. So excited to see that. See how she does at the next level, as we've got a young crop of upper weights in women's freestyle wrestling that we're excited for. And Amita Lore could be the first one to bring home a senior level medal. So excited for all that for sure. Ben's going whitewater rafting. Have you ever done that? Mm-hmm. Like the most fun thing that maybe you can do. It is so awesome. A little jealous of that, but good for Ben. To the victor go the spoils, as they say. Other news, as we'll kind of jump around a little bit. We'll maybe circle back to Final X. Imar to Illinois as the volunteer assistant coach there. This was not on my radar at all, and but yeah, headed back to his alma mater that he just left. He was on staff there and competing there, left to go to Oregon State, and then now heads back to Illinois. So, sure, Illinois is happy to have him back. They are very excited about the NCAA credentials of their coaching staff. I don't know if that correlates to anything, but they are excited about it. And yeah, good for Illinois. Jordan Lean, the new head coach at Brown, and this is Todd Beckerman stepped down there a couple months ago, and so Lean going to get a crack at it. Makes a lot of sense. He's been on the ranks for a while as an assistant coach. He is an Ivy alum. He went to Cornell. He was an NCAA champion. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, good hire.
Cool. Let's go. You were excited about this a voicemail. Joe from Colorado, is that the one?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
It's a little old.
Hey guys, Joe from Colorado. First time, long time, all that. I feel the need to stand up for CP here and say that Vito really does have a shot here. Everyone's talking about, the jump Gilmann took. Gilmann was on a different level.
Crap.
From what? From the Olympic trials to just the Olympics shortly after? Who says he wasn't already on that same level at the Olympic trials, right, where he barely beat Vito? Now, I know he was hurt the second match, but I don't necessarily assume that the huge jump Gilmann did make was after the Olympic trials. That huge jump could have very well happened right before the Olympic trials. And Vito could very well be right on his level. So, that's all. Just wanted to, someone else to weigh in on Christian's side. See ya.
I didn't know this was set up radio live. Listen, actually, prior to the hit, had we not known what we already know, which is that Gilmann just absolutely destroyed Vito in 2 matches, it's like that actually sort of makes sense, because the jump, when was the jump? I don't know. Because you could say, and I will say he could be right that the jump happened before trials or at trials, because we don't know, because actually it was match 1 he hurt his foot when he was down.
Yes.
So that could be the case, but Vito's not there. Not with TPG. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that was such a setup. I got all excited. But why? I should have known it was a trap when the guy's giving me credit. It's like JD would never do such a thing. So, all right, fine.
If anybody else wants to call in and leave their thoughts, we would love to hear them. You can call in 515-509-5071.
Sheesh.
That's the number.
Cold setup.
And I promise to listen to them more frequently. I was just listening to that one yesterday and got a chuckle and wanted to play.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
The next one, actually, we can do Adam from Council Bluffs too. His is about Thomas Gilmann as well.
TPG Question Radio Live. Let's go.
Hello, this is Adam M. from Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm asking this question in regards to my friend Jimmy R. from New Jersey. When was the last time that Thomas Gilmann had a domestic loss in freestyle? My guess would be 8th grade, just seeing if you guys had any insight. Thank you.
He famously lost right before Olympic trials to one Zach Sanders and Seth Gross.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, Council Bluffs. So he's lost to his domestic losses. I mean, he lost to Dayton in Final X20. Oh, did we talk about Gilmann saying he was embarrassed? He went back, or I guess he remembered his press conference performance before Final X Lincoln when he lost to Dayton, and he said he was disgusted with himself, and he's totally lack of humility. And then he basically he's like, and then this guy whooped me, Dayton. I thought that was really, really interesting.
I guess I didn't watch since I was in Ohio. I didn't even know he said that.
Yeah, he did. That was interesting. Gilmann's candors is refreshing, very refreshing. I love it. All right, looking through the chat here. I'm skimming right. I'm not even reading what Keith Gothard's writing at this point. We're just at that point in the show. There's nothing to read there. We need Ollie to come on the show. Well, the real Avery Lynch. I think it's going to happen. It might happen tomorrow. No Shane Sparks this week. So maybe we get Ollie to come on. We'll see. He's very extra, as he will acknowledge. He needs enough sleep. This is early. But we're going to try to get him on. But I can't promise. The Avery Lynch wants a Aussie update and a Natalie hype up the crowd at school. The Aussie update I can't provide. Natalie, yes, she led this chant at her camp, and it was the coolest thing ever. Maybe we'll show it one time when JD's a little low energy. We'll have Natalie fire her up. Fire him up.
That was intimidating.
It was. Yeah, she hit the ground. It was like Ray Lewis level.
It was what's the New Zealand rugby team?
That
does that?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she has rugby in her future. Who knows? If Jordan never bumped up to 149 or 65, 70 kilograms and was always 133, would his international career look any different? Well, I don't. Probably not. So who would have been in his way at 60, 61? Stieber, for sure. They definitely had some back and forth. It was mostly Jordan winning those. Reese. I think it's similar. I think he's on the cusp always, maybe sometimes. I mean, 60, it's tough because that was just not realistic weight for him to make anymore. I mean, this guy bumped up 2 weight classes in a year. Excuse me. That's pretty uncommon. So I don't think it looks too much different, but who knows? So this is a question I've asked Strength and Scrapping at Wrestling Lifter. How did the grounding rule even start? Horrible to watch it being gamed and taken advantage of. That's what I've been trying to get to the heart of. It's like, okay, when they came up with this rule, a lot of rules, you come up with them after you see something that happens that you want to stop. So I'm like, what does this rule, for example, in folk style, the neutral danger zone. They were tired of seeing guys passing a leg, hanging out on their back, and nothing happening. So they made a rule to change it. We know that was happening. The drop down rule in folk style. We hate it, so you can't drop down the leg anymore. There's a count. What does the grounding actually prevent? What did they? Yes, Joe Caprino, you're right. We got that it began with the step out, but we just don't know why. Why they thought it was a good idea. Why they thought this is what we need to. What does it think it's preventing? That's what I don't understand. No one knows.
I don't know.
Scholars maintain the translations were lost over thousands of years ago. That's where I'm at with it. I really don't know. So strength and scrapping, we are on a quest. We have missions here. We're trying to eliminate this rule. Our agenda is clear. We want the death of this rule. It's been agreed upon by the team, and we'll be using our media power and energy to eliminate this rule. It probably won't work, but you know what? All we can do is try.
My guess would be because once upon a time they were really trying to prevent like straight arm pushing and basically push outs. That's why it's called a step out.
Yep.
Now it's basically just whatever. It's fine if you straight arm push in freestyle, but a front headlock position where you just push them out of bounds, and if they stay on their knees, they're just gonna slide out. Like they can literally slide across the mat and go out of bounds. Probably that situation is what they're trying to avoid.
So Israel Thomas in the Facebook chat says it originated from people pushing guys out in parterre defense. So yeah, the obvious parterre defense in the way we think about it is a guy's on top, he's gotten a takedown or gotten some sort of control, and he's working for a turn, lace, gut, whatever. But the obvious rule change there is, if you're on top and working a gut and you drive a guy out of bounds, you shouldn't get a step out there. I think that's sort of obvious. But if there's no scoring, there's no one in control or on top or working for a turn in that way, then just say no. It's just a straight step out at that point. That's the obvious change there, if that's why it exists, right? Works for me. Okay. Other questions before we depart. Do you see regression in Jaden, or is he doing just enough to get it done? He never really seems to be in danger. Follow-up question, why does Pyle hate Mizzou with Jacoby? He's nothing if not consistent, JD. I don't hate Mizzou. Love Jaden Cox. Consider him a friend, and I do not think he is regressing. I think, one, similar to Nolf, I give credit to Nate Jackson. This is a former training partner. I credited Nolf having a little more familiarity with Dake as an attribute that helped him. Similarly, familiarity for Nate Jackson. I gave credit to Nolf for good game planning. Similarly, Reese Humphrey, game planning for Jaden. And so, one, I'm giving credit. Two, similar to Dake, we've seen this with Jaden. It's not a new phenomenon that he wins close matches, and sometimes you're like, why doesn't he go? And I don't know the answers, and Jaden maybe doesn't either. But seeing him, sometimes not scoring or not going, or then when he goes to get it, feeling like, wow, just do that always, that's common. And so I'm not ready to go there with Jaden. And also there's an element of this with Jaden, is that he is a world champion multiple times over, but he's done it at 92, which has not been the deepest weight internationally as well. So it's not like it's a Jordan Burroughs blitzing the field in 2013 type of thing against a really good field, or like maybe 11's a better example because that was like the deepest field. It's, 92 only has a few guys that could really contend with him. And so I think that's part of it too. Like it's not been the deepest weights he's navigated as well. So I'm not worried about Jaden. I think he's got a little bit of time. He had to transition from training locations, from the OTC, and then he's got the NJRTC. Now he's in Michigan, and personal stuff going on in his life with his brother, and that he's been open about. So there's a lot going on with Jaden. I think once Serbia comes around, he'll be my pick to win Worlds. I think you watch that Iran match, and we all kind of think he should have won there. But to the question from Wick, we felt like Jaden could have got that match in Iran, and he just was a little late pulling the trigger and lost. So there is an element of nervousness going in.
Of note, Jaden will be on the Bader show shortly after this show.
Okay.
So hang around for 15 minutes, switch over to the Bader show, and Jaden will be chatting up with Bader for upwards to an hour or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Joe Caprino says there are technically no takedowns in freestyle.
Well, that's why it gets confusing, because they say any wrestler in parterre. And technically, if you are on a knee,
One knee.
it is parterre, but by rule in the WWE rulebook.
I was Wednesday years old when I found out that we're going back to the trash grounded rule. If Yanni Hendo match 1, they were in that wizard seatbelt position on the edge, and I think Evan or Yanni wizard down hard, and Evan's hand hit out, and his body was hovering over the out of bounds line.
Like if it was a cylinder, like in folk style.
Yeah, so not touching the out of bounds, just his
Correct.
hand was on the mat, nothing else was. And they gave 1. And then if you listen to the call, Christian Piles was confused because a head didn't hit. I didn't understand why that was a 1. And then Kozak goes on the deep dive on YouTube for an unlisted rules video that says if a hand touches out and the body is over the out of bounds line, that is also 1.
Yes.
I did not know that was a rule. I did not know that. And listen, I'm not a ref. They'd never let me be a ref. I'd be kicked out of that club immediately. But I didn't know that was a rule. I know that's how it was called. I know I've seen that exact scenario not called 1 many, many, many times. So they got that call right, which is great. But it just adds to the ambiguity and the confusion for a sport that I don't want to be confusing. And that's the heart of all of this. I don't want this sport to confuse everybody, right? I think that's the worst thing that can happen is people watch and they can't understand it. And even people who really, really, really love the sport and watch it all the time, when they can't understand it, red flags.
Kozak, I think it'll be coming out today. He did the deepest of deep dives on the grounded rule. I'm sure he got back to the origins of it and when it started implementing. He's coming out with a video about what it is, why it's called like this sometimes, why it's called like this, what it should be called, international versus U.S. So it'll be really good. Kozak did a major deep dive into this past weekend.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oh, Monday FRLs, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. The complications there are during the D1 season, it's tough for Ben. Ben coaches all Sunday long, so he catches up on what happened on Sunday on Monday. But we're just going to figure it out. And I'll try to find a way to get him up to speed quickly so he knows what's going on. And then the other complication is that JD's on the road a little bit more, but maybe a little bit less next year. So he's sometimes traveling on Mondays. That was the original reason that there were no Monday FRLs, because it used to be on Monday. For the longtime listeners, you know this. And then we got rid of it because I was literally on the road all the time, flying home on Mondays, so it made no sense. So we just moved it to Tuesday. But now I'm home more, so let's do it. Monday's just necessary. It's just what we should get back to. So it'll happen. We'll figure it out. There's not really as much of a need for it in the summer because there's such less wrestling. And like the events like Worlds is like through the week, so it's not as helpful there. So I think we probably won't change it up then, but definitely before the D1 season it will happen by force if necessary. Not that anyone's even opposing it, but it's just good to say things like that. Don't make Tuesdays a repeat segments from Monday's episodes. That's a great idea, Keith. I really thought we were just going to say the exact same things twice, but no, we'll try to not do that. See, you guys have been getting these shots off for years, and I wasn't in this chat. Now, I'm putting it out there. I'm gonna be fighting back, and the bad thing is, you guys, no one's gonna hear what you say. But you know what I was thinking about? What would be cool that we can't do, but maybe we could do? So if we just start pulling in the chat guys on the into the show every now and again, Just be like, boom. Tyler picks them from the Facebook metaverse and gives them some link, and they call in, and then we get Keith Gothard until he irritates us. Then we kick him off again. That would be fun.
All right, you're playing a dangerous game.
I know. Joe Caprino, Mondays should have guests like Keith. You're right. That's what I'm saying. I'll have Keith Gothard.
That's what I'm saying. Well, we still want to hear your thoughts. You can call into the voicemail. Leave your thoughts on whatever, and if the thoughts are good thoughts, we'll play the thoughts.
If they're bad thoughts, he'll play them too. If it embarrasses me,
that's true. That's also true.
that's a big angle for JD. Just embarrass me.
515.
No, Jeff.
509-5071.
One more time. Call toll free.
515-509-5071.
There you go, Jeff. You're never gonna kick me out of the Facebook chat now. Now I understand what you guys do. The little shots you take. Pot shots? No, sir. Let me. I think it's time to go. I think we did it. No, I'm not. Man, now he's talking about OnlyFans. Keith, this is why. See, I'm already regretting my suggestion of pulling these guys in.
Just to yourself.
You're right. Guys, thank you so much for bearing with us these last couple FRLs. I know it was tough with Final X's, and I promise we're going to try to have a better solution next year. Final X, we have a whole year to figure out how we're going to do it better. For JD Raider and all the people in the chat, thank you. Goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have tacos and maybe, just maybe, the triumphant return of Oliver Stone. We'll see. You'll have to tune in tomorrow to find out if America's Heavyweight is going to be back on the show. We'll see. Thanks so much. See you then.